Hey, this is Todd. I thought I'd spend a few minutes today giving a brief overview of how to generate some hex maps using Worldographer, aka Hexographer 2. I like Hexographer slash Worldographer as a tool for generating hex maps. Obviously, if I have an idea already in my brain, I can map that out using many different things, this software or just pen and paper or whatever. But oftentimes, I like to just start with something random, see what pops up, and go from there. Oftentimes, I don't really have an inspiration in my head, so it's worth it for me to try to use some random generation, which I often do in a lot of different circumstances, to try to generate inspiration for something of my own. So with that said, let's generate some maps. So you can see here, looking at the setup screen, I think this is pretty much the default. I might have changed something when I first opened it, and I meant to change it back, but I couldn't remember what it was. You can see there's no revert to defaults button or anything, so be careful when you do go through and change things like these land frequency percentages or any of the percentages or any of these information. I couldn't see an easy way to change things back to the defaults if you goofed and came up with something awful. So be aware about that. I think you'll get I'm not going to do a whole lot of editing on this one. I'm hoping just to do it basically in one shot. Still, you will get it when not doing it. Why not editing it? I'm not going to cover over some of the things that are a little bit kludgy about it because, frankly, as powerful a tool as I find Worldographer to be, and Hexographer too before it is a little bit clunky and kludgy, and it can be a little bit tough, and I think it pushes my laptop. So we'll see now that I'm recording this while I'm going through it. There may even be more slowdown, or I have it set with a high memory. You can, I'm running on a Mac, and you can download different executables that will basically run it holding different amounts of memory. I picked a big one, but as you're going through and using it and filling out the terrain and doing things, it can get some slowdown. So it'll be interesting to see how it is recording it. But get back to it. So I'm not going to mess with any of this stuff. I'm going to start with the world view, which is basically the most zoomed out view you can get. So what I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for some area that I find interesting. I like to have a lot of different geographical elements. Yeah, give me a little forest, give me a little hills, give me a mountain, give me some ocean, give me some plains. I just like it because you get to then, if you plunk something there, then you have access around you to a lot of different things. But obviously, if you have something in mind saying, hey, I want to do a mountain adventure, or that's where I want to at least start my campaign in a mountain fastness, or in a desert location, then you could pick a desert, or you could pick a mountain, or you could pick wherever. The plains, if you wanted to do, say, something like in the Great Plains. I like try to find a little bit of different things. I just feel like it gives you access to a lot of different terrain and different creatures, things right off the bat. So that's what I'm going to do. But let's go ahead and generate this thing and see what we get. I don't know if you could see it because I have to capture different windows by itself in OBS, which I'm using to record this. But I don't think it's showing up. There it is. Showing up behind me. I'll get rid of those. So let's see. And let's turn that off. Okay. Now you're seeing what I see, which is a far corner of the world up by the Arctic. If you look over in the window to your right, you can see basically the thumbnail of this world. We've got three sort of continent type land masses. One that's a little bit like Australia, but it's up to the north. We have this kind of big band in the west. Let's see. Well, looking at this, it's again. This is kind of. I guess I'll use this one. I'm sure there's some things. So we got some now that I'm looking at. Okay, we got some volcanoes. It's interesting. Remember, we're looking at this. This is the world view, so we're going to be zooming in much tighter to pick the actual location. We've got a dead volcano over there. We've got some jungle. So I'm looking at something. So I'm looking for just interesting spots. And of course, also where civilization would be. Because regardless of if I'm doing a points of light or if I'm doing a sort of a frontier area, there has to be some civilization. And so if I'm going to plunk a town out there, the town has to be attached to some kind of political entity, whether it be a small kingdom or a large empire, whatever it has to be. So I need somewhere that looks like it could be suitable for some kind of civilization, some kind of political entity to take place. Looking on the coast, as far as at least where I could start thinking about that. And I don't necessarily need to map out this whole nation at this point, and I'm not going to. But I want to inform if I'm going to put my town somewhere, then it's going to be maybe on the outskirts or isolated. Where are the roads from that town going to? Because the town isn't just going to be self-sufficient. It's probably going to live off of trade. It's probably going to be some way it has to relate to the rest of the map. So I'm looking for, where do I think? Ooh. So we got. Now, if I'm not sure what some of these terrain types are, I can open up this terrain tab. I'll put this on classic because I'm just using classic. I can see that that's rocky desert. So we have mountains, rocky desert, plains, hills, forest. This area here where the continent kind of narrows is a bit interesting just because you've got this sort of natural choke point. You've got desert and rocky. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is I don't know what algorithms, if any, they do to choose what goes next to what. So when you're looking at this, you go, well, you've got kind of just farmland right next to rocky desert without anything really explaining why that's the case. We can posit some things. We can come up with the fact that maybe this is irrigated in some way. Maybe there's, I don't know. I'm not someone, I don't get too hung up on it's got to be super earth realistic, our maps, but I might go through, if I was going to pick this section, I might think about maybe I need to change this up a little bit. I know that often we look at mountains, they often will separate climates so that one side of the mountains is fertile and the other side is dry because all the mountains basically catch the weather systems as they're going across. So this will get lots of rain. The mountains will kind of trap a lot of that rain, so you get dryness on the other side. But in this case, let's just keep moving around and seeing if there's something that really... The other thing is, again, like I mentioned, we're very zoomed out. So I'm just going to come over here and check out this continent. And what Worldographer is going to do is when we zoom in, it is going to fill in a lot of detail, and it's going to fragment a lot of things. So that it's going to fragment a lot of things. An area that might look at this level to be just jungle might have hills in it, might have other elements, and you'll see that when we pop in. But right now, I just want to find that general area. I'm just going to cruise over here. The volcanoes are kind of fun. Here's kind of an interesting area. I don't think my mouse is visible. Okay. Should have thought about that before I started recording. In any case, so I'm looking at where this, we have this volcano in the center of the map here. And we've got some plains, we've got some wooded hills. We've got, I guess, some kind of wooded, what are they calling that? That would be sort of wooded, I don't know, it looks like forested, kind of maybe smaller mountains that are somewhat forested. And we got some forest here, we have some farmland over here, we have swamps, we have some of that desert again. Kind of funky to have desert right next to swamps. No reason. Maybe I'll close this off. So let's just do that. I need to change this a little bit so I can see all that. And again, there's no, like in this interface, I'm trying to get all these symbols. I don't have a horizontal scroll, so I could scroll vertically through this list of terrain, but not horizontally. And now my cursor's spinning, which, okay, I'm back. All right, so yeah, it's a little bit slow. I don't know if you can see the memory usage, but it's chugging along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these hills. I'm going to fill this up. And then I'm going to go find some of that deserts. Okay, desert rocky, and I'm going to fill this in. Oh, whoops, yeah, see, there's more of this swamp that they've just stuck next to hills. Let's fix that. All right, so I fixed, so I trapped in this bit of desert, and we could think about why, I could put in another, let's put in another hill. 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 Let's put in Let's put an else here. We've got this little desert area, which is interesting. It's like this trapped piece of terrain. And in fact, actually, let's go one further. Let's go where some mountains. Go take some mountains. So I was saying about terrain trapping weather. Let's do that. And then, in fact, what I will do is, oops, where are we going down? Let's find some water. Where can I get some water? Water, ocean. I don't know, it's not ocean, but okay. So I've done this work, so I guess I'll use this area. So what I'm trying to do, whoops. Okay. I think I'm going to settle on this area here. And I will probably, I guess I'm thinking about it. Let's clean it up. And it just doesn't seem that there's a real reason for, throw this in here like that. Okay. Okay. Got a volcano. Farmlands. Let's see. Well, I guess we'll just leave it like this because, again, we're going to zoom in. We're going to zoom in and we're going to use this as our center. So let's just center on the volcano. I'm going to change this level from world to continent. It's going to ask me how many hexes. I'm saying 6. Going to do some stuff. Just filling in some stuff. Okay, finished. Now you notice it kind of lost where I was a little bit. Let's see if I can. Last time I did this, I've actually put a label. And again, it's just one of those clunky kind of things. Okay, so. Oh, I think this may be where it is. All right. This is where it is. Where's our. Okay. Right. So here's this Badlands kind of area that I trapped in here, which has got some areas that it's kind of filled in. You can see now that things aren't as neat and tidy. And depending on how you feel about that, you can decide whether you want it to have this rougher look to it. We can zoom even further, and we will. But I will go ahead and clean some of this up just a little bit now, just for purposes of demonstration. So let's see. I don't want those little bits of just kind of green grassland, farmland. Don't. Dead forest. Grassland. There's kind of a little grassland built in there. Oh, really, what else we got? All right, so first let's do desert rocky. Let's get rid of that. That one, I suppose, is okay. All right, we'll do some poor grassland over here. And then it kind of have that, and then some sort of swampy areas there. Where's that? Well, that's grazing land. Or is it grassland? Grassland or grazing land? All right, let's find something else a little bit. Shrubland might work maybe a little bit better. And we can kind of add something like that. So we still have some individual mountains. We got this area. You can see, if you could see, it's really small. This little box here saying where we are on the world map. I'm gonna whoa. All right, let's see where we are. All right, so I zoomed out and it kind of pulled me to the side. Okay. So here's our volcano. Whoops. Okay. All right, zoom in. All right, here's our volcano. And of course, they threw in this odd, oh yeah, cultivated farmland, even though we haven't placed any towns yet. It can actually generate nations and stuff and things for you, kingdoms, whatnot. I haven't had it do that for me, but you can use it. It might give some interesting results, but I find I like to do that stuff myself. And usually, often with the hexcrawl, I'm not super concerned about nation borders. That's something I can draw in later, or obviously you can always add it in later, but it is there for you. But right now, basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a spot where I'm going to put my initial town, and then I'm going to fill in a couple of features around it of interest to adventurers. So maybe a lair, maybe a ruin, things like that. And then we'll call it a session for this. And depending on what kind of feedback I get, if this is something that people find interesting or useful, if you're using Hexographer, you're thinking of using Hexographer, then I can keep going, or I can go do something else. But at least you'll have a little bit of an idea how to use Hexographer for this kind of work. Well, I mean, this is kind of what it's made for. And, you know, the sort of things it takes. So first, let's see, we got a lot of things here. I just want, what's that? Not giving me a hover. Oh, there it is. Settlement village. Okay, that's pretty much what I want. We got this farmland. We got the swamp. Let's go ahead. We got some grassland. Let's go and we'll throw it in there. Oh, you know, this might be one level too high. I'm still on the continent level, I think. Or actually, hold on. Let's go into kingdom level. 6. Let's see if this will be interesting, because I'm not sure what happens if I put a symbol like that in that hex. Where does it put it in that hex when it's going to blow that up into a lot of subhexes? Let's see where it throws this village. Are we in kingdom? I had this problem too, where I had a hard time saying. Let's see if I go. All right, it's still doing stuff. It's just not telling me it's doing anything. I had this happen before. It's just becomes unresponsive, and then suddenly, if I do too much, it'll wig the map out. Not wig it out. It's as opposed, in a sense, destroying it. It'll just throw me somewhere, potentially way far away, and then you got to try to find your way back again. So I'm gonna give it a couple of seconds here, and I guess to fill the space, going back to the things that I'm looking for. Why I like to put a village in a place like this is, as you can see, it's near to different areas. What I want to do with adventures, I want to give the party choices, and not just choices of things to do, but choices of different places to explore. Not only that, but particularly using the kind of old school approach that I like to use. Different terrains have different hazards, not just in the amount of type of creatures you can see there, but in the odds of actually encountering those creatures, that sort of thing. Where you put in that village, where I want to put it, is somewhere that I can give me access to different things I can do. Now, this, I keep saying it's swamp. It's not. It's grasslands. Maybe I'll replace it with swamp or something. I don't know. We'll see. It's grasslands. This plain green is just kind of all. I'm not sure what separates grassland from uncultivated farmland. Maybe the types of grasses, or that it's more. I don't know. We can obviously go through and change that, and we can just decide. We can just decide that, okay, everything that's just green is grasslands. Obviously, these are just symbols. You create the meaning you want for them. But it can be a little bit confusing when you're looking at what the map's trying to give you. You have to obviously keep in mind that you can always override whatever this program is saying about what these things mean. If you want it to mean something else, then it means something else, right? It's for us to use. It's not, we tell it what to do. Okay, so it's still working. Oh, the memory usage is playing around again. Okay, there we go. Where did it put us? Oh, I see our volcano, I think. All right, still doing something. The other thing with so let me go back. So we're putting this village in this spot, or I am. I like the variation of terrain it gives me, which gives me variation in different mechanics that I can bring in, as well as creatures that would be exposed. It also means that if I have 3 different dungeons or dungeon-like things, dangerous places that I want the party to go explore, by having these different terrain choices, and give them different feels. So I want them to be different enough that it's something that the party can make choices about, whether it's the danger level that they feel like it might have, whether it's just their own desire, whether it might be about accessibility. So if I say, okay, there's a wizard's tower up in this volcano, that's an interesting location. It's not just a wizard's tower, but it's in a near or adjacent to or in or somehow related to a active volcano. That for me, that's a lot of inspiration as to how to build it. For them, that's a lot of information for them. Decide, ooh, is that maybe that's they're low level. Maybe they think, well, those are two difficult things. Let's find an easier thing. If there's another dungeon in a swamp, let's say it used to be an old fort on an island in the middle of this now swampy area, that again gives me inspiration. I can have a really interesting, unique look and feel to it. Certainly, I'm going to be very different in many ways than the tower in the volcano. Same thing if there's an old mine in the hills, has its own unique flavor. By having these different terrains that I can then incorporate into this campaign area, I've given myself different ways to flavor it. So it's not just, okay, I'm in the desert and I've got desert location A, desert location B, desert location C. And I'm certainly not suggesting if you're going to run a campaign in a desert that you couldn't come up with interesting things for 3 different desert locations, but by the same token, it might feel a little bit the same. You have to take extra steps, and therefore, if I was going to run a desert campaign, you have to really work harder to differentiate these desert locations, which obviously you can do. There's very sandy desert. There's rocky desert. There's oasis in the desert. There's mountains, hills, big rocks, whatever in the desert. There obviously could be any sort of supernatural or magical effects in the desert and areas that promote those effects. But you have to think a little bit harder about it. If I was running a campaign all in the mountains, then I got to think more about these different elements. Whereas if I have one mountain location, then I can put all my mountain inspiration into that one spot. I don't need to worry about, geez, I got 9 spots in the mountains. That's a lot of differentiating things to do. It's just, to me, just having different areas just gives me extra bits of inspiration. Okay, it still seems to be cranking along. What is happening? Or maybe this is that why? Oh, that's why. Ugh. So I had to turn on the pan again. I was just scrolling against the wind and I didn't know it. Okay, here we go. All right, so there's our village. Oops, I'm gonna zoom in. Okay, so we see we've got a village location here. And if we take the map at what it's giving us, we have a lot of farmland. Some of it is already being used. Others of it maybe is not, but it's still very potential. Where if I'm going to say these are 6-mile hexes, I think that's kind of how I have it set up. But I think, anyway, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're 56 to 60 miles from the whatever this volcano is. So it's something that is definitely close enough that if the volcano were to erupt, something happened, we'd definitely be impacted, but we're not right up against it. But obviously a very interesting location. So I mentioned putting some things for them to discover or to deal with. So let's do that. Okay, here we have ruins of a settlement. And this one, we can assume that maybe this volcano has erupted before. And there's this kind of badlands, or what is that? I think it's just kind of poor quality grassland. There's some hills. We just throw it in there. All right, now we got that settlement. We got some city ruins. I'm not ready to put in a city yet. Let's see, what do we have here? Dungeon symbol. All right, let's put the dungeon. I'll put a dungeon right there. Got a cave symbol. Put the cave symbol. Yeah, actually, let's move it a little bit further. Let's put it down. Let's put it in there. Looks like a little hidey hole. Okay, got a cave symbol there. All right, so we got a ruin, a dungeon, a cave. There's an interesting mountain over there. Oh, a landmark. This is interesting. We got this kind of clear. Let's see. What do we have? What seems like maybe a area that might be significant in some way for something. It's just a landmark, so it can be anything. I'm thinking let's put it there. And what else are they giving us? I'm really just going through these symbols, just trying to find tombstone, a totem. We don't have any shipwrecks around here. A monolith. Yeah, monolith. But I'm not going to put one quite there yet. I don't see any towers. Do we have any towers? What is this one? Got a... Oh, that's a tower. All right, I mentioned a wizard's tower. Put that. Ooh, what might be there? We'll just throw it there. This is kind of interesting because it's surrounded by this. Obviously, it's within the volcano, but it's clear. You can have some interesting fun of what that means. What are we talking about when we mean that that's... It could just mean nothing. It could just be a flat open space. Maybe it was magically shielded when that last time they erupted. Maybe this is, obviously this is all in symbols. So is this inside the caldera? Is this kind of the rim? Is this inside the caldera? What is it? So, we could play around with what that means. And I think potentially we could maybe find some other symbols to indicate that this is the rim of the volcano. But for now, this is fine. I'm just roughing it out. I'm just trying to put things together. All right, so I've got a landmark. I got a ruined thing. I have a... What do we say that was? With the bars. Oh, a dungeon symbol, a cave. Okay, so we got the dungeon, we got the cave, we got the tower, we have the ruined fort, or sorry, the ruined settlement. I think that is good for now. Now we have some stuff. And now let's add some shapes here. I'm just going to use the line tool. And we have some presets. I'm not going to do a whole lot. I'm just going to kind of go through it. Again, this is much like a lot of things. It's really cool, but it's also kind of wonky. And you'll see as I goof with this. So I'm going to say that this old settlement. I'll do that. All right. So yeah, we got the road. Simple. Width is 30. I don't know what's that width looking like. Yeah, it's really big. All right, let's delete that. I think that's too big. Let's see what 10 looks like. All right, so line. Okay, we'll go to landmark. Start a new one. This is gonna zippity doo, dippity doo over to our thing there. And then we can. What I'm doing is again, because it's kind of wonky. So anytime I end one of these roads and I want to make a new one, I have to hit this deselect, start new option over here, because if I just keep it on select, it's actually going to keep the last road I did and adding onto it. And when you've messed up on that a bunch of times like I have, it's frustrating. But knowing that, I'm doing a new one, and we're just going to kind of... And again, I'm just doing this... I'm just going to kind of have it go down there somewhere. So the roads for us can tell us... We can make it... It's a little bit of a story. Here's the village as it stands now. In olden times, it extended all the way out here. Maybe the volcano went off, some other disaster happened. It could have to do with this dungeon over here. And in fact, let's see. We have a road. Okay, there's a trail. So maybe I'll make a little trail one that goes from the dungeon to the village. I want that color. I kind of wanted to do like dash lines or something. Let's make that black. Simple. How's that look? Oh, yeah. Ooh. it's dotted. Oh, select. Oh, it's under. How's that look now? All right, dash. So now we have maybe a trail going that way. Did I lose? What happened to my... Oh, I think by accident I lost my wizard's tower. Let me throw that back in. Must have done something by accident. Okay, there's my wizard's tower. And rivers work about the same. If there were... Let's say... Oh, you know what? Let's do that. Let's take some water. Throw the water in there. So let's say that tower is sitting in some water. Maybe it's on an island in this little thing, blah, blah, blah. And then that allows me to then make some river. And we'll say, take the river. You could say there's a bridge there. And the river follows more or less road. Down. Okay. You see, I did it. Trying to do that. Okay. So I just changed the z-axis so that the road, this indicates to me there's a bridge here. So it's some kind of water, maybe hot springs. I don't know. Maybe it's magical again because we have a wizard's tower here. I'm gonna go underneath. I'm gonna go kind of out in these plains, open grasslands. I always like to think, we always talk about, or not always, but when we're talking about cities or towns or settlements, where they're placed near water is always good, near fertile things are always good, roads. There are hills here. We could take something. I don't know if I think there must be a mine symbol. I think there is. Just find it. That's a tombstone. Where would a mine be? Crater. Cave. Village. I don't see a mine. What's that? Just a circle. Just a circle. Alright, I'm going to take that just a circle. Let's throw it in there. Hold on. Now let's give some labels. Labels for everything. I'm not sure what to call this town. I always like to think about, I don't know. Things like where the hard. It's always hard to come up with it. All our names, I feel like to ourselves, our own heads sound terrible. I'm just gonna call it Green Dell. I'm just gonna sort of position that, or maybe I'll position it here. I really didn't want white. Okay, let's change that. I don't know if that's... What does that look like? Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Oh, come on. Flex. I thought it changed the color for me, but it didn't seem to. Why are you not changing? All right, so let's see. This is the weird. Okay, so delete it. We're gonna put it in there again, and it's white again. Label color. Oh, why are you tormenting me? Let's see. Okay, select. No outline. So what do you got? Okay, now it's. Oh, it's got label style. Let's just see. Oh, village. Gosh, it's huge. Oh my gosh, why is it so big? Oh no. Okay, undo. Ah, it's probably gonna have to go. Oh, you're killing me. Killing me, Smales. All right, delete. Uh, let's see what happens. If I just try that in, throw that in there, it's gonna be big again. All right, nation, building, geography. Yeah, I want that to be big, but I don't want it to be that giant. So village, it says, is 28. Let's go try it because I don't want to undo the preset. Sure, I'll use alchemy, black. I'm gonna use, I don't know, 5. I don't know if you can see it in the window. I'm trying to set up a new preset really quickly. As you can see, my organizational skills for this are through the roof. I could have done this beforehand, and I didn't. Here we go. Village small, new text label. No? Oh, okay. That's not that bad. But it's still massive compared to the size of what we're doing. I don't. Oh, okay. All right. Good. Good. Greendale, finally. Here you are. So we got Greendale. And I'll make another one which will just be called Oldendale, which will just be where the other place was. And again, these names, I don't think much of them, frankly, but it's just for illustrative purposes. And if I was really trying to do this, I would to print out, I would obviously try to find work more with the text so that it shines, it comes across better. But this is just for illustrative purposes. I'm not super concerned about that right now. I don't know if there's anything. What happens if I outline that? How bad is it if I outline that in white just for giggles? Ugh. Ooh. Never you mind. Okay, here we go. This to me is a pretty fine starting area. Oh, I could name the river. I'll call it the Flame Tongue. I'm just gonna use the same. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Let me Flame Tongue River. And to get rid of that, delete river. I believe I can. I thought there was a way for me to. I think there is to. To rotate. Oh, there it is. Okay, so rotate this. Wow! By the magic of, I don't know, something. We got the Flame Tongue River. Maybe it's hot. I don't know. Who knows? Magic River, Flame Tongue River. All right, so we have Starting Village. We've got some ruins of the old village, which people would know about. Maybe they would know about the adventures, the party, if they were from the town. We got a mine, dungeon. We haven't set up the relationship between these three things, but since they're in adjoining hexes, maybe we think about that there was something from the dungeon, came to the mine, you know, was a downfall of the village, but then it might have also had to do with this volcano. What did the volcano have to do with this interesting wizard's abode up here? Did the wizard activate volcano? Did that get that going? What is this cave over here? What does that connected to the wizard tower either? Is that a secret path through the volcano to get here? You know, if we're looking at possible ways that the party could get to this wizard's tower, this is the river is going to be a tough choice. It's going to be flowing, you know, the wrong direction for them to be going up. This might be very difficult terrain, very vertical. But then there's this cave over here, and even though it's a long path, maybe there's some sneaky back door that takes them right to the island. Interesting stuff. Also, it could be the mine. Maybe the mine somehow gives them access to some other part of the volcano area. And then what is this landmark? What is it? Is it a holy site? We didn't really flesh it out at all, but it's something there too, something that they can encounter on the road. And then the next steps from here would be to maybe, you know, going for things I've talked in my other videos, maybe at this point we start breaking this out into terrains and we look at who lives here. If we're going to say that, you know, I like to look at, okay, this hex is pretty much civilized. Maybe we're looking at other farmlands. There are homesteads here. These are fairly civilized. Probably means that this grassland, at least right here, is at least low. If it's dangerous, it's maybe low-level dangerous. But then we also have this river, and there's very little farmland. And we could obviously take these out to make it more neat. In fact, let's just do that. Let's just kill some of this. We'll do that. So that looking here, we can see that maybe this river is a dividing section. It's big enough and maybe it's rough enough that the keeps things on the other side. Whatever dangerous stuff maybe stays in this area in the olden part and doesn't cross the flame tongue. Maybe the road over here, maybe this bridge is actually out, and if the party does want to go that way, they'll figure out a way across it. Maybe that way it keeps people out as well. So we have a lot of options to think about, and I don't know how long this video will end up being, but we've sat there and we can export this bit. Oh, all right, let's edit. Always, we can take this area, selecting it. What is the image? Call it green. Down. All right. So I export this image. I'll throw that out. Take it. Feel free to rename it. Do whatever you will. And like I said, if there's interest, if people found this useful, I can go ahead and do more about this. Maybe we can flesh it out and keep going. Otherwise, there's a little introduction, just scratching the surface, really, of what Worldographer, aka Hexographer 2, can do. Like I said, the interface, it takes some getting used to. It's definitely clunky, but it's a very powerful tool. I enjoy using it a lot. Thanks for watching. Hey, before I go, if you enjoy these videos, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, so we can stay in touch, and you'll get notified if you click on the old bell icon when I drop new videos. And also, it helps me out a lot. As well as, please give it a like. And if you found it interesting and you feel like there are other people in your gaming group, GMs, other players, whatever, who you feel like could use it, please share it out and, you know, give it a thumbs up and help me keep this channel going. But thanks for watching again, and I will talk to you later.